Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today we are doing the Inoue versus Tapales breakdown video, as Inoue, the monster, the reigning undefeated WBC WBO unified champion at 122, is going to attempt to become the undisputed champion in a second weight class when he battles fellow unified champion of the WBA and the IBF, Marlon Tapales of the Philippines, as they will collide on Tuesday, December 26th on ESPN Plus, coming from, on ESPN Plus coming from Japan. So, big fight right here, a lot of significance. Now, before we get into it, if you could smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, I really do appreciate any and all support that I can get. And again, my Japanese fans, my Asian fans, my Filipino fans, thank you for making the Is On video so huge. Hopefully you guys can bring it home with this one, because this is a breakdown and prediction fight. And these are my favorite videos, the breakdown videos, actually, outside of my year-end top 10 videos. But so let's get into this. Now, in normal breakdown videos, if you haven't seen them before, what I do is, in a fight like this, you have two champions. Both have two belts. So I have to look at it as a non-title fight, in a sense, because in this scenario, you got to go with the A side and the B side. So once we talk about the fight first, what it means, then we get into each fighter individually. I ask the same questions, but I will start with the A side, which is Inoue, and then do the B side, which is Tapales, the favorite and the underdog. I do that, ask the same questions, and then at the end, I have a final question and then my prediction. So let's jump into it. This fight right here, it's historic. You know, anytime you become an undisputed champion, period, is big, but it has been the new thing in boxing to unify all four belts, and we've taken off with so many undisputed champions in the last couple years now. It's become infectious. And now Inoue, his opportunity is to become only the second man to do it in two different weight classes, as Inoue accomplished that goal last year at Bantamweight 118, and Terrence Crawford did it first, doing it in two weight classes, first at 140, and then earlier this year he accomplished it at 147 when he defeated Errol Spence Jr. So now Inoue's coming into this fight wanting to become, to do the same thing, accomplish that feat, and keep working his way up. He's pound for pound, in my opinion, he's pound for pound 1 or 2 in boxing. You have to give him that. He's very good, and he's just dangerous. And this is a huge opportunity, and we knew it was coming, because once he defeated Stephen Fulton, Inoue has so much pull, and he's such an attraction, that you knew if Inoue defeated Stephen Fulton, it'd be easy to make this fight. And Tapales was more than willing to do it. It's a big fight in terms of the whole Asian continent, because you have a Filipino fighter and you have a Japanese fighter, and it's just going to be big. And for Tapales, this is a huge opportunity for him, after he already scored a major upset in his last fight to become the unified champion. So, big time fight right here for boxing and for both of these men. Now let's start with the monster, Naoya Inoue. We usually go back and look at their last 3 fights. His last 3 fights date back to June of last year in 2022, when he took on Nonito Donaire in their rematch and destroyed Nonito Donaire to unify 3 of the 4 belts at 118, stopping him in only 2 rounds. Their first fight was in the World Boxing Super Series Season 2 finals, where Inoue defeated Donaire in a Fight of the Year candidate. This time he destroyed Nonito. And at that time, that was his best victory, dominating Nonito in their rematch. Then in December of last year, he took on Paul Butler, who was a WBO champion at 118, and they fought for Undisputed, and he dominated Butler, who wasn't willing to really engage with them. It looked like he was just trying to go the distance, and he ended up stopping him in the 11th round to become the Undisputed Bantamweight champion at 118. He gave up all his belts, and in July of this year, he returned to challenge the #1 fighter at 122, the undefeated Stephen Fulton Jr., who had the WBC and WBO belts, and he absolutely dominated Stephen Fulton. I really thought it was close to a 50-50 fight, and Stephen Fulton was gonna really make issues for Inoue, and Inoue completely outboxed him, outgunned him, picked him apart, hurt him, and stopped him in 7 or 8, and captured the unified title at 118 here. He's now a 3-division world champ, and he's rolling into this undisputed title fight, a heavy favorite, and very, very hungry. So definitely is pumped up. He's fighting at home, and he's good to go. Now, what does Inoue need to do to win this fight? One, he just needs to not overlook Marlon Tapales. Tapales is used to playing this role now. He played it earlier this year against MJ Mirajan Akhmadaliev and upset him. If Inoue goes into this overlooking his opponent, he could lose. That'd be a major mistake. But in reality, I really don't think Inoue's got to worry about much. I think he can press Tapales. Tapales isn't the biggest power puncher. He can punch. He employed a boxing style against MJ, did Tapales, instead of engaging. But I think Inoue, being a little bit bigger, anyways, naturally bigger, he can impose his will. He has the reach advantage, and I think he can press him. But cut the ring off and keep him in front. And I think Inoue can definitely have success that way. Now, can Inoue win this fight by knockout? Absolutely, he can hurt. Tapales has been knocked out twice in his career. His last one was in 2019, actually against another Japanese fighter, Ryosuke Iwasa, as they competed for the IBF title, and Iwasa stopped him in 11 rounds. But yes, definitely Inoue, in my opinion, can knock him out. Can Inoue win a decision? Absolutely. I think he's the better boxer, and I think he could absolutely win a decision here, no doubt. What does this win mean for Naoya Inoue? Now, I compare this one a lot to the Paul Butler victory. His best wins came in the fight before becoming undisputed. Knocking out Nonito Donaire last year was bigger than becoming undisputed against Butler. And knocking out Stephen Fulton Jr. is bigger than knocking out or beating Tapales. But what you're accomplishing by beating Tapales is going to make history. He's going to become a 2-division world champion, undisputed world champion, which is huge. Only Bud Crawford has done that, and him and Bud can slug it out for pound once that happens. I would probably equal those guys as the top 2 pound for pound fighters in the world once, if Inoue can defeat Marlon Tapales. So a win means everything. It really does. It keeps his undefeated record, keeps his star on the rise. He pretty much doesn't even need to compete at 122 anymore, and he can continue his march north, and move to 126. So this win means everything for him. Now, what does a loss mean? A loss absolutely devastates Inoue in this fight. He cannot afford to lose this fight. Tapales is seen as a guy that we already know what he brings to the table, and maybe that he got lucky against MJ. And he can, so Inoue needs a loss to Tapales really brings his stature and everything down, not to mention he doesn't accomplish the goal of becoming undisputed. So a loss would be devastating for him. Now let's switch over to the underdog, the unified IBF and WBA champion, Marlon Tapales. So Tapales' last 3 fights date back to 2021, actually. 2021 and 2022, he took on nobodies and got second-round knockout victories. Then this year, in I believe it was April, he challenged Mirajan Akhmadaliev, MJ, for the unified title. He was the IBF's mandatory challenger somehow, and he got the fight with MJ. And instead of going out there and slugging it out with MJ, he decided to box. And he kind of kept MJ at bay and was winning most of the first half of the fight. MJ turned it on in the second half of the fight and made it very close and very interesting. But Tapales was still boxing well and competing and landing good shots. And when it went to the scorecards, he walked away with a very close split decision win as he captured the unified super bantamweight title, becoming champion for his first time. So Marlon Tapales, I mean, this is another huge opportunity that he wasn't expecting, and I think he's just happy and humble to be bringing such a big fight to the table here. And you know, and he has a monster opportunity. You know, he might be a heavy underdog, but opportunity, you know, is what leads to greatness. You know, and you never know if you don't get the opportunity or don't create the opportunity. By beating MJ, he created the opportunity at Inoue. And Marlon Tapales, I think, is going in humble and unafraid because I think he knows what's at stake. He knows he's the underdog, and I don't think he's worried about that. He's just going to go in there and do the best that he can. So he might be outgunned, but I think he's hungry and ready for this fight. Now, what does Tapales need to do to win this fight? He needs to do what he did against MJ, but better. He really needs to fight the perfect fight. He needs the box, though. He cannot sit there and trade with Inoue. I think that'd be a grave mistake. He's already an inch shorter, and he's given up a 2.5-inch reach advantage. So, Inoue's the bigger guy. I think Tapales needs the box. He needs to come in great condition because that was the first 12-round fight he's had in years against MJ, and he held it well. So he needs to come in very, very good condition and be ready to box in this one and go the distance. And hopefully he can wear down Inoue and hurt him in the late rounds, much the way Nonito Donaire did. But it's going to be a tall order, so he really, really needs to be in great condition and be ready. Now, can Marlon Tapales win this fight by knockout? I don't think so. Inoue's got a great chin. You know, anybody, I guess, can get knocked out at any moment, but he'd have to land a heavy, lucky punch to knock out Inoue. So I think the chances of knocking out Inoue for Tapales, very slim. Can he win this fight by decision? I think that's the only way he can do it, and if he were to beat him, it would be a very close decision in my book. Now, what does a win mean for Marlon Tapales? I mean, it's historic. Marlon Tapales would have been the ultimate underdog, and he would have knocked off a really good fighter in MJ and a future Hall of Famer in my book in Inoue. You know, so a win for him would seal the deal on him making huge money fights the rest of his career, no doubt. So a win would be huge for Marlon Tapales in his career. Now, what does a loss mean for Marlon Tapales? You know, to be honest, I don't think a loss hurts him all that much because the win over MJ was already huge. He accomplished becoming world champion when nobody thought he could. And I think he's just happy to be here, which makes him hungry. So a loss, I don't think it's going to hurt him that much because nobody's expecting him to win anyways. So I think that when you go into a fight looking at it like you got nothing to lose, he's already accomplished a goal of being world champion, and nobody can ever take that away from him. So I really think he's coming into this fight hungry and not worried about losing. I don't think a loss really hurts him all that much. Even if Inoue were to destroy him, I don't think it matters. Now, is it better for boxing if Inoue wins this fight or Marlon Tapales wins this fight? And that's easy. It's better for boxing if Inoue wins. He's a huge name. He brings you know, a lot of fans to the table. They want to see him fight. He's interesting. They call him the monster. I mean, he has everything going for him, and he's great for boxing, and he's still in his prime, only 30 years old. You know, it's way better for boxing if Inoue wins this fight. It would be a good story if Tapales did, but again, I keep coming back to this when I do my breakdown videos. There are certain fighters where you don't really know how good they are or how truly great they are, and that's what keeps the mystique going the more they keep winning. Tapales is viewed as a guy that we already know what we've seen. So we're really not going to be surprised by anything, but a win would be major, and it'd be a nice story. But I don't think it'd be as good for boxing as it would be if Inoue won this fight. And now my final prediction: who's going to win this undisputed title clash between Naoya Inoue and Marlon Tapales as they collide for the undisputed Super Bantamweight Championship of the world? To me, it's a no-brainer. I think Naoya Inoue is going to destroy Marlon Tapales. I think Tapales' chances are very slim in my book, just style-wise, size-wise, power-wise. I just think all the advantages go to Inoue, and I think Inoue is going to walk right through Tapales. I see him knocking Tapales out in 4-5 rounds max and becoming the undisputed champion in a second weight class. So, but again, don't count Tapales out because he's hungry and he's ready to fight, because he's already been through this fighting MJ earlier in the year. So that's it. That's what I got. That's my Inoue versus Tapales breakdown video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. This is True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.